Welcome to Glorious HRD Industries, where on this rainy day we are going to do some indoor projects like 5-minute crafts for dudes, and what we're going to start off today with is I'm going to show you the Dude Spike 2.0, explain to you the different models. I'll show you how I build the kit out so that you could build the kit, and then finally, of course, I will show you how to build the kit. Along the way, I'll give you tips, tricks, and some commonly asked questions about the Dude Spike to help you understand how this works and maybe give you some ideas on how you can make your own project or do something kind of cool within radio. After all, that is my overall goal, is to get you to start thinking outside the box, like reading the description, checking for answers that might already be asked, and reading the description. Anyway, let's get started. Thanks for watching. So let's start off with some of the basic things. I have 3 different spike kits currently, and they work with at least 4 different masts, which I'll explain. I have a spike kit for the Little Dude 6 carbon fiber mast. If you're unfamiliar, this is my carbon fiber mast, and I should have them back in stock around October 2026. Additionally, I have a spike kit for the POTA 20, and then I have a spike kit for the POTA 33 non-H. And I say non-H because I do not have a spike kit for the POTA 33H, and at the moment, I don't have a plan to make a spike kit for the POTA 33H. Although I suppose if POTA 33H arrived at my door, I might be more inclined to do so. And then, of course, finally I have another spike kit. And I know I said I only had 3, but technically I have 4. And that's for the new HRO 20 carbon fiber mast. The reason I told you I only have 3 kits is because the HRO 20 carbon fiber mast will take the same spike kit as the POTA 33 non-H. Let me show you the differences in diameter. The first and obvious difference is going to be the LD6 mast, or the Dude Spike. Is that blurry? There we go. The first difference is between the LD6 mast, or the Dude Spike 2.0, and the POTA 20. As you can see, there's different diameters. And I have to mention this because people will ask me all the time, although it is in the description of the Etsy page. I always recommend reading the Etsy page or the descriptions at hamradiodude.com. But the Dude Spike 2.0 will not fit in the POTA 20 mast, as you can see. However, we also have a POTA 33 non-H spike kit, and this is going to be a little less of a difference. As we can see here, the POTA 33 non-H is in the hand that I'm tapping my fingers on, and the POTA 20 spike kit is in my other hand, my left hand, right there. Not a lot of a difference. Literally just maybe millimeters. But I did have people complaining that they weren't happy with how the POTA 20 fit in the POTA 33 non-H. So I adapted to that. And there's a reason I mentioned that, though. If you have both a POTA 20 and a POTA 33 non-H, you can get away with a POTA 20 kit, which I call the MRD spike. And then, of course, like I mentioned, the POTA 33 non-H kit is also good for the HRO 20, which I call the Hero spike. HRO, Hero, get it? All right, let's say you ordered the HRO 20 portable mast, and so you order the Hero 20 spike kit. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm trying to learn how to be organized, and I'll find the right bin and grab the parts. Now, as you order the Hero spike, you're going to have an option of purchasing it in 3/8 or M10, and a lot of times people ask me, what's the difference? And I'll tell you that the difference is you get a 3/8 inch spike or an M10 spike. I mean, that is kind of it, but some people prefer to have a 3/8 over an M10 or vice versa because the ecosystem of ham radio stuff that they've already purchased already has 3/8 or already has M10. So for example, this is a POTA pounder, and this POTA pounder is threaded in M10. So, maybe I just want to keep my kit kind of going or all the same. Maybe then I would have purchased M10. But in today's example, I'm going to purchase 3/8 inch. And one thing I should also mention is if something shows out of stock, You could always click the waitlist to be alerted or go to hamradiodude.com. I feel like I've said this already, to get a status update of when the product should be back in stock. Now I have to go cut a piece of PVC at 11 1/4 inch, and I'll be right back. Now, the instructions will tell you I don't cut the PVC, but I've been trying to make it an effort to do so to make it easier on you as you build this kit out. On top of having an 11 1/4 inch piece of PVC, you're gonna get some parts. You're gonna get a sleeve, okay? And I send it just like this, okay? The sleeve is on top, you're gonna get a cap, and I usually do screw the cap at least partially on the top. Sometimes people email me and say, well, I never got a cap. Sometimes people email me and say they're missing a part, and usually it's a case of thermal expansion in shipping. So maybe throw this in the freezer if you can't get them separated the first time you utilize it. And on top of the cap, as well as the sleeve and the PVC, you're gonna get that 3/8 inch spike, which conveniently screws into the bottom of this cap. And the only other thing that I have to do now is I have to heat press in a threaded insert for the bottom cap. I want to show this to you though, because you'll get to see kind of how it operates, and you know, maybe somebody out there will have an inexpensive but better recommendation on how to achieve this. I currently have the press warming up, and this is the thread that we're going to press into it. This is a 3/8 inch thread from McMaster Carr, and it's fairly large, so it requires a lot of heat. In order to do that, I took this standard press from Amazon, and I added I think it's a 60-watt Weller soldering iron to it. The tip on here is from McMaster Carr, and it's made to fit this 3/8 inch threaded insert. While this heats up, I want to mention that the product is made of PVC, that's the tube, stainless steel, that's the spike, and the black plastics on this product are all milled ABS. They're not 3D printed, but they're milled. That makes them more durable and reliable over a longer period of time. And before you say anything's too expensive, you're free to go to my Thingiverse page, find the parts, download them, print them, and enjoy them for yourself. Here I am at the press, and I have the threaded insert inserted into the plastic just by hand, and I tried to keep it as straight as possible, although I could tell it's a little bit off. And then all I'm going to do is I have this red hot iron. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place that red hot iron into the threaded insert. Let it sit on there for just a moment or so that the threaded insert heats up enough where I could press the press down and essentially melt the plastic as the threaded insert goes in. Then once the threaded insert dries, once the plastic's dry around the threaded insert, that threaded insert shouldn't go anywhere. Now I believe this will probably give you a little bit of respect or understanding about what I do to make just one of these. And of course that means that I can only do so many orders in a week. If you see the online store closed, it should give you an idea in the announcements section of my Etsy store when I plan to reopen. But usually if I get a certain amount of orders, I close the shop for the week until I could fulfill those orders. And we're gonna go ahead now and we're gonna try to press this in there. Nice. I'm trying to keep it straight, meaning the threaded insert straight into the plastic. It's sometimes really difficult to do so. So now that it's in there, I'm gonna give it just a second. And you know, sometimes you might see that I leave this little lip of plastic on. Sometimes I take it off. It's really insignificant at this point, but basically I just took it off. I could tell that this threaded insert needs to go down a little bit. What I'll do is I'm going to press it into the desk now, and it kind of flattens it out. I'm going to give this a minute to cool down, but I still want it to be hot enough where I could put the 3/8 inch spike on here and move it around if I have to get it all straight. I then realized at this point that even though I double checked that that was a 3/8 inch threaded insert, it was a M10 threaded insert. So I will now do that again. Now that I've double checked it, same process. There we go. Let's go ahead though and see how it looks now that we have it inserted. And as I screw things down, I could already tell from my angle that as I turn it, it's like super wobbly, right? Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put it on the PVC and I look and I can see that it's slanting to the left. And I just try my best here to get it as straight as it can go for what it is. Although sometimes there might be a little bit of an angle just because of how things are manufactured. Also, many times when people are getting ready to purchase these, they'll reach out to me and say, hey, if I order 2 of these or if I order 3 of these, may I have a discount? Hey, I make videos online. Can I have a discount? And I'd have to tell you that the answer is no. You obviously see here that I work in a very small operation and I have very little profit margin. What I'm trying to say is my price is fair, I believe, as it is. And I would thank you for supporting me. I think that's about straight. So the only other thing for me to do at this point is to box it up. And instead of showing you how I box these things up, let's go upstairs and let's unbox it and now build it. While I'm patiently waiting for my order to arrive, I read the Etsy description and I realize that there are instructions on the Etsy description page, also at hamradiodude.com. And in there, I see that I'm going to need some sandpaper and some super glue. So I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna go purchase some sandpaper and super glue because I lost it again. Now that I have my super glue and my sandpaper, let's build this. So a lot of times people will tell me they never got the instructions with the package, and that's fine. You should have got a sheet that looks like this that has a link on it. But again, if you don't forget to go over to hamradiodude.com or my Etsy store in the description. And here is the kit. So I'm not going to follow the instructions today as much as I am just going to build this out. And as I get this, I'm just going to make sure that all the parts arrive. And it looks like I got my stainless steel spike. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. It looks like it screws onto the cap okay. I'm just going to place that stainless steel spike to the side, and then I'm going to check out the other plastics. Here's my 3 plastics that I got, so that looks all good. And we're going to set the top cap that the 3/8 inch spike goes into. We're just going to put that to the side also for a moment. And we're going to start off by taking some sandpaper and sanding the inside of these 2 caps, the sleeve and the bottom cap with the threaded insert. Now I have 2 reasons for doing this, and one of those reasons happens to be, well, sandpaper adheres better if there's a rough textured surface, but also we're kind of giving a little bit of tolerance or clearance so that these fit okay when we put the super glue on. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. I would recommend that if you're going to be sanding the sleeve and this parts, that you take a rag and you clean them out afterwards so that there's no dust or powder left over so that the super glue could adhere better. But we're probably overthinking things. Now, there's 2 more things we need to do, and that's sand the 2 pieces of PVC, or the 2 sides of the PVC rather. And so, you know, I've become kind of proficient at this, but you could take a marker and you can mark where you don't want to sand past, okay? Now with the sleeve, well, where do you actually put it? And I'll show you. Let's take this top cap again. Let's screw it all the way down. And we're going to sand right about here. Typically what I'll do is I'll just sand the whole top part from that point. And I know now to put super glue on or toward the bottom portion of where I just sanded there. When I'm applying super glue, again, I recommend that you have the sleeve and the top cap separated, because super glue fumigates, meaning after you put the super glue on, the fumes have to go somewhere. And a lot of times they'll try to get through any crack or crevice possible, which, you know, could be a really kind of bad thing if you think about it. Now the super glue I got today happens to be one of these bristles, and I'm just going to put it around the piece of PVC, keeping in mind that it is super glue, so I don't want it to be rubbing against this mat while I do it. And I'm only putting enough on for it to cover the sleeve. You might be wondering why I don't put it on the sleeve. And I have this idea or this feeling that when I put it on the sleeve and I try to push down, it creates a lot more resistance, and sometimes it sticks too high up. Not necessarily the biggest deal, but still kind of an inconvenience. And if I do have any questions, you know, real quick, I mean, again, it would be nice just to mark it, but real quick, I just made sure that my cap screwed all the way down, and that should be good. I'm going to take that cap off real quick. I do not want to keep it on as this dries. We're going to flip it over and we're going to do the other side. Now, this cap, I'm not as concerned about putting the glue on the PVC for this one, but maybe I'll put a little bit on there just for fun. Now that I have a nice amount down there, I'm just going to go ahead and slide it on, and we're going to let that sit for a moment. You can see I actually got some super glue on the cap itself. I'm kind of sad about that, but it's not the end of the world, and everything should still work okay. But we have to let this dry, and I recommend we wait for about 24 hours for it to fully dry, because again, if we put our cap on with our spike in there and let it dry, and that fumigation occurs, your spike is going to be completely white, and these threads for the top cap might actually stick to the threads on the sleeve. Now that it's been a simulated 24 hours, I have the kit. I'm going to go ahead and remove the cap on the top, and I'm going to take the spike out. Once I get the spike out, I'm going to go ahead and, well, there's actually two ways people will do it. Some people will take a rubber mallet and they'll leave that top cap on, and they'll take a rubber mallet and they'll hit it into the ground. Some people will just remove the spike and they'll go ahead and thread in the 3/8 at that point to the bottom cap, and then just go ahead and stab it into the ground. It depends on your soil and a lot of other conditions. But this is what our spike looks like, and let's go outside real quick. Hopefully avoid the rain to just kind of see how this works and to show you how it works. All right, we're out here in the field, and all we have to do with this spike is make sure you're in an area that's safe and there's no underground wires and so forth, although the wires should be deeper than the spike goes. And then get it into the ground. Again, if you have an issue, you could use something like a rubber mallet, kind of like I was telling you about a second ago. A rubber mallet will work really well. I'm just pushing this down with my foot straight down, and I actually kind of have it on an angle, so yeah, that'll work fine. Let's go ahead and unscrew that cap. And then we tighten up that top cap again, and now we're going to screw the PVC onto that spike. We probably could even bring that spike down just a little bit more, but I didn't want to go too deep and risk having to dig that out. And while I'm here, one of the things I want to mention is sometimes I see people trying to pull their spike back like it's an emergency brake. Don't do that, because it'll break right here. No matter what kit it is, sometimes people have a difficult time getting the mast on the actual spike kit without all the sections falling off. And all I do is this right here. Look at that, boom, boom, good to go. And then all we have to do is extend up our mast. Hey, so these were things that I kind of just wanted to show you today, and some of the things that I've been thinking about for a while now. I thought it was really important that I go through the process of how I build them, as well as how you would put together the kit, what goes into it, and kind of explain all the parts as well as the frequently asked questions. If I did miss anything, you should check. Yes, I'm just going to say it. You should check out hamradio2.com or my online Etsy store. Each item has a description and it should give you more information at that point. So hey, I appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot and I hope you enjoy.